This is the Shotgun City Sheriff, the law himself, Clayton Clark.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Mr. Kennedy, a.k.a. Mr. Anderson.
This is the Young Titan, Aaron Atlas.
Hey, this is Matt Brannigan.
This is the Warbound Hellhound Bo Sword.
This is your favorite drunken pro wrestler, a.k.a. the Bud Light Brawler, Dalton Davis.
This is Lizzie Six.
This is Jake Something.
And this is the jaw-jacking, back-cracking, God created all men equal, and then he made me the sequel, Rohit Raju, and you are listening to the Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast. Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast.
Spot Show Podcast, hell yeah.
The Spot Show Podcast.
The Spot Show Podcast? Yeah, that's right, I stuttered. Shut up.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Spot Show Podcast, an independent wrestling podcast with a few pit stops along the way. I'm kind of by my lonesome today. I don't have the one-legged wonder, Mr. Michael Madrox, with me. I, of course, am Dickie Wabash, but I came correct. I got a special treat here with me. Guys, let's hear it for the legend himself. May not want to admit it, but you are. Dalton Davis is here on the Spot Show Podcast yet again. No one else.
True. It's slightly true. I'm slightly one-legged wonder right now. So it's not.
Yeah,
it's,
you got the one-legged wonder.
Yeah, it's not. He's here in spirit.
And Shank Barzini is here as well.
Yeah, I'm getting around.
No, but for real though, guys, Shank Barzini has finally made his way onto the Spot Show Podcast. Shank, this has been such a long time coming. So glad to finally have you on this.
Yeah, I've been waiting. I like your digs. It's really cool.
Hell yeah. Yeah, so this is, of course, Madrox could not be here, scheduling issues, but this is still a pretty cool little podcast we got going on here because we're coming up on the 1-year anniversary of the first ever MadBash Wrestling match, and we're here with the two guys that competed in that match. So this is a pretty cool little full circle moment, I think, personally. I mean,
boy, has a year changed.
Yeah, a lot happened in a year. A lot happens in a year. You're sitting here with a broken fibula. You know, Shank's back. You know, that was your first match back in 3 years. And we're going to get into that here in just a minute. But I want to remind everyone, this is, of course, the Spot Show Podcast. Each and every week we get here, talk about wrestling, talk about life, talk about everything that's going on in between. If you like what we're doing here, you can go on over to patreon.com/MadBash Studios. Back us at that $5 tier. You're going to get this show and all of our other shows completely ad-free and early. It's not the best way to support us, though. Well, it is the best way, but it's not the only way. You can go to MadBashStudios.com. You can find links to your favorite podcasting platform. Leave us a 5-star written review on this podcast, and that's a really good way to support us there. Really solid way to support us. Some plug skis and upcoming dates. Don't really have any upcoming dates right now that are close enough to really talk about, but believe me, you see that MadBash logo on a flyer, we will be there. We've also got some content coming out on the Patreon, on the YouTube. Right now, the trailer for Danville Dreamers Chronicles, Dreamin' Ain't Easy, is available on on Facebook. Available on YouTube, we have also got Ascend the Throne, where Chris Cutler won the MadBash Wrestling Championship. You can check that out on YouTube. Link to that on MadBashStudios.com. And, of course, this episode is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling and Venom Energy Drink. So now that we got all the plugs out of the way, as we said, we have the first ever MadBash Wrestling match right here. And like Dalton said, what a difference a year makes.
It's just crazy that you pulled all that stuff right off the top of your head.
Everyone says that.
Because it sounds almost the exact same every time.
Every guest that we have on says that.
Oh, he probably just reads that off a piece of paper. You know, because that's what I would do.
Yeah,
but no.
In a way, like is that like the commentator's version of
It's just getting your reps in.
Is it like the commentator's version of like, hey, like that would blow me up? Like, you ever seen a spot in a ring, Shank, and you're like, oh, like that'd blow me up. Like, is that what you commentators do?
Pretty
like,
much.
You spitball and you're like, that'd blow me up.
What's always weird about it, I hate doing that little, I hate doing it whenever we have a guest because the guest just kind of sits there all awkwardly. So that's why I kind of speed run through it a little bit whenever the guest is here. But I mean, we got to get those plug skis out, brother.
Yeah.
Got to get those plug skis out.
That's cool. I'll sit here in awe while you.
Yeah.
Everyone does. Whenever V was on the first time, he just looked at me and he was like, because he listens to the podcast all the time too, and he was like, how do you do that? It was just like, it's getting your reps in, brother.
I'm cool with you spitballing. It's a lot like my matches. I'll let you work around me, you know.
So, speaking of matches, as I said, coming up in a few days from the time that this goes live, the 1-year anniversary of MadBash Wrestling, sitting here with Dalton Davis, Shank Barzini. There can only ever be one first in the history of anything. And you two are always going to hold that record of being the first ever MadBash Wrestling match. Shank, I want to start with you on this one because we're going to get both of you guys' thoughts on the entire day and the match in general, but you were gone. Like, you had pretty much left the business and we dusted you off and brought you back in. What was necessarily your thought process? Like, what was it that was so enticing about the opportunity to be like, yeah, you know what? Maybe I do got one more little run in me.
Well, see here. It probably started about like few months prior to that. I was just like in a bad place, like mentally and everything like that. It was before I got diagnosed with PTSD. And so like I was just having like a real hard time. And usually I use the Shank character to like as kind of like a weird therapy in a way. I was kind of bugging Oliver and saying like, look, man, I really want to come back. And then I was wanting to like pay him back, you know, for everything, you know, and stuff like that. And he was like, no, don't worry about it and everything. And then he set up a match with me and him at Destination 6. And Dalton called me out on the podcast, and I was like, oh, that would be like a good warm up match before, because I knew Oliver was just gonna blow. He was gonna have a lot of ideas, and it was just gonna blow the crap up out of me. And I knew like to get it back into the Shank character, like the rhythm of him, and also getting back into ring cardio and feeling it for the first time and stuff like that. I think that me and Dalton would be easier getting back into it like that way. So whenever it was just opportunity. As soon as I'm a real big on whenever opportunity comes a knocking, fucking grab it.
Yeah.
And it was just aligned. You know what I mean?
Well, and you know, not to put ourselves over in any way, but I mean, I'm sure you saw what we were doing, and you know, you've run the roads with Madrox and I before, and you knew that like when we put something into something, then it's actually worth something, for lack of a better term. And I remember getting the text from Madrox. He was like, guess who I just talked to? And I was like, I don't know. And he said, Shank wants to wrestle for MadBash. And I was like, okay, let's fucking go. And the match was originally supposed to be you versus Clayton, but Clayton couldn't do it. And then this goes to you now, Dalton. I've had the conversations with you about who your guys are, if you could, this is who I wanted to work. And when the Shank Barzini opportunity came up, you were just like, dude, you have no idea what that'll mean to me.
No, yeah, 100%. Like I said before when we originally talked about it, like after the match on the podcast, growing up, like I always liked the wrestling style that I watch, you know, like, so some people were like technician fans, so they would like Dean Malenko. I was always like, you know, I like the hard hitting style. So when I got introduced to indie wrestling and I seen guys like Shank, you know, a little bit of Harker, just actually going out there and slugging people, I'm like, oh, like hell yeah. And then I got to ref, and I don't know if I ever told this story on the podcast before. I may have, but
it all runs together at a certain point.
I got to ref Shank Barzini versus Big T Thomas Moore, and that was just intimidating because like they're brawling through the crowd, an old lady trips on her own and Shank's like full character and he's like, check on her, and then absolutely slugs Thomas because he deserved it. And that was like my first like welcome to the business, and I was like, I absolutely love Shank.
Yeah.
And it's just like, you know, the music and everything. So the fact that, you know, now that I had like a professional career, like when I first started getting like my groove and my strides, you were on your way out. So like our paths never really got to cross. Plus I was more in like Indy, you were more with like Illinois. So I never got to make my way there. So when you and Madrox told me like, hey, like this is going to be an opportunity, I was like, oh shit. Like, okay, here we go. Like in a way, like it was my Undertaker moment. You know, we talked about it before, like when Edge is sitting there and like he said he has to shake his hands because he can't feel his hands because of the, you know, the feeling. That's how I felt wrestling Shank. Like, you're my Undertaker.
Is that weird to hear for you? Like, is that like not necessarily like, I'm sure it's like humbling in a way, but is it like a mind fuck for you to be like, I'm a guy's bucket list?
Yeah, really weird. Especially whenever he's like, I watched him growing up and stuff like that. It's like,
yeah.
Oh crap! How old am I? You know what I mean? It's just like, how old are you?
I'm 22.
22?
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, there's about 12, 13 years difference.
Yeah.
between us. So yeah, it's just weird. It's just weird because I don't feel like I'm an old vet. You know what I mean?
But you,
like,
I mean, you are. Like
that's weird.
Like we were talking about it before.
I don't think that I act like a vet. Like all the old vets that
you're always
I
so
used
approachable.
to,
Yeah.
Like be
100%.
with. Like I don't feel like I'm that. I don't think I want to. I don't think I want to be honest with you.
Just be a grizzled brother over in the corner. Hey, kid, how you doing? Old fish handshake.
Shank's grizzled enough, to be honest with you.
Yeah. But like, and I think that's what was really cool about it is that when we did the match, you know, we got to introduce a new batch of people that maybe had never seen you. And the people that knew, if you know, you know, it's like, oh, fuck, Shank Barzini's going to be at HCW. And then there were some people who didn't quite really grasp the idea of it. And then you get out there and you're fucking moonsaulting all, and you're hitting your trademark DVD, and they're just like, oh, okay, so that's who this guy is. And like, I remember there was even a moment in the locker room whenever the pre-show meeting was happening, they were like, welcome Shank Barzini. And then like Cobra being like, Shank's here? Like he didn't even realize that you were there at first. And then Cobra would be like, oh shit. And then like him coming over and like seeing you. But yeah, man, I talked to Harker about the exact same thing of where it's like, whether you want to admit it or not, or accept it rather, not admit it, but accept it. Like there's a legacy there. And I can only imagine like what that means to like, to sit and hear Dalton be like, you're a bucket list match. I grew up watching you as a kid. It's just like, oh my God. Like that is just, that's baffling to me. And I'm not even the guy that he's saying it about.
I'm just like, kid, you should have watched better. Like you really,
you know what's funny? When I wrestled Matt Cage one time, and I told him like I grew up watching him at UWC too, and he roughly said the same thing. He was like, "You should have watched better." And I was like, "What are you talking about?" Like,
there's a lot better wrestling than
yeah. Then he knocks me out with the money clip for the finish. Love the guy.
Love him. Great guy. Great guy. But yeah, you know, I knew, and we talked about this before we started recording. Like, there's a huge elephant in the room. If you know, you know, the inauspicious thing that happened to you that set independent wrestling in the Midwest on fire. No, that left a bad taste in your mouth with a lot of things. So then to see you get to come back and like have that moment and then like to give you the flowers that you deserve. Like it was just so cool to like to be able to be like, I fucking booked that. And then it's like so many people were just like, how'd you get Shank to come back? How'd you get Shank to come back? And we were like, just work with him. Just give him what he wants. Like, he's not hard to work with.
I mean, like, I'll go back to like saying like about the opportunity thing. You know what I mean? It was just a great opportunity because like not only do like I get to help something grow a little bit, you know what I mean? Like I see something like catching a little bit of speed, and I would like to help out with that. And now this is an opportunity to give back or help. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So yeah, that's.
Well,
grab an opportunity.
And you talk about the opportunity of it. Like, you got to talk about it. You were talking about you were diagnosed with PTSD, and like we talk about how like there are so many people. Let's call it what it is. If you're in the wrestling business, there is something that you're trying to make up for 9 times out of 10.
Yeah.
It's your comfort. Like, I suffer from depression. I have really bad ADD. Wrestling soothes me. I know you got your shit. We all have our thing. So then to hear that you're coming back into it to help with that, you got your safety net with Oliver, because you're going to go out there with Oliver. And like you said, he's probably going to, gash you to the gill. You're going to get blown up. You're going to be gassed, everything. So, but at the end of the day, you're safe. But then you're like someone you've never wrestled before. So like you're putting your toes in both worlds of where it's like someone I know that I've wrestled 1,000 times versus this kid that I've never worked before. I'm sure that like was a big push for it too.
I mean, yeah, a little bit. I just knew that like, because Oliver's just like, make sure you're for like talking up when like going leading up to me and him. He was just like, make sure you're in shape. Make sure
that's
you lose weight. You
that's
know what
Oliver.
I mean? Make sure you're in a good place. So like, I was nervous. So I was like, am I in enough shape to actually go? You know what I mean? And just like keep up with that pace. And me and Oliver kind of like set a bar with our matches throughout the years. So it's just like maybe someone's expecting something. So now I have to go up with that expectations. And but like to prepare for Oliver, I knew he would be great, because once you booked it, I asked him, I was like, let me see some of your matches. And as soon as like he gave me some of his matches and I watched, I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. This is going to be awesome. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And it's weird how it all worked out, because then like a month later you were working Oliver. So it was just like, it's weird, like this weird like triangle going on here where it's like every combination like happened. Dalton versus Oliver, Oliver versus Shank, Shank versus Dalton. And it was just this weird thing. And Oliver was another one that when we were first starting out, like Madrox, another call, is like, you'll never guess who I just talked to. He's like, Oliver Kane wants in on MadBash. And I was like, what the fuck are we doing right? Like, we're doing something, because we're getting like 2 of the best from another era who are still in this era, and you being Shank and Oliver. Then we've got the future with Clayton and Dalton and the present. So just like a really, really cool like mashup there. And that's really what we've been trying to do. But yeah, it just, and I know we're harping on it a lot, but it's like, it was a big deal, because it's like, not only was it the inception of MadBash Wrestling, but it was your first match back in however long. It's like you said 3 years, I believe, at one point.
Yeah.
And then you're getting your dream match. So it was just, it was nuts. It was nuts.
I mean, it was easy to see that like y'all were getting something going. I mean, because like your podcast, listening to it, I mean, it's like easy conversation. Like it doesn't sound like y'all are forcing anything, like I can listen to y'all's podcast easily going down the road or anything like that. So it's just like, yeah. And that's what a good podcast is. You know what I mean? I mean, that's why I think people listen to Joe Rogan and stuff a lot, because it's just an easy, flowy conversation.
Dude, I couldn't go 3 hours straight like Joe Rogan does. That man is a fucking machine. Like, I'm good with our hour-long podcast and then like a half-hour paid show. I don't know. He doubles that like consistently every fucking week. And it's just like,
he's the flair of podcasting.
Yeah.
I agree.
That's actually a good way to put it.
Actually, the Ocho show. You know what I'm talking about? He just did one with Cena.
Oh, yes.
I would say he's the flair, because he's the one that's like, he's got like the $1 million room set up. Joe Rogan's kind of like the Stone Cold, because he just sits there and shotguns beer with Shane Gillis and like does smelling salts and talks about DMT and aliens.
So then maybe he's the DX, because he does have his group. You know what I mean? With
him and Jamie are just suck it.
So then what does that make us? Because we're just posted up on my couch. Like, what does that make?
This is like the retirement BSK parties.
the retired. God damn it.
Where's my Jack Daniels?
Yeah, right there. Right there.
If Shank's Taker, I got dibs on I'll be Godfather. Hell
Under
yeah.
Shanker. That's what we started calling you. Under Shanker, brother. That was another thing. This is a good little segue into to my next topic here is that I've told you this, and I've said this on mic many times, is that I know you personally. And when you flip that switch and become Shank Barzini, it's still unsettling. And when this all started, actually, let's actually go back. This all started a couple of months before because Madrox did the Let's Do Shout Outs for Dickie's Wrestleversary. And you were one of the first ones that did it. And you're doing all right, come on, let's do this. And you flipped the switch. And I was like, dude, there he is. Like, he's never lost the character. And then here's another little inside baseball about working with Shank. When you ask Shank Barzini for a promo, you're going to get 3 versions. You're going to do your first one, and then you're going to be like, I didn't like that. Let me send you another one. And then you send another one, and then you'll say you'll fuck a date up or something. And I'll be like, Wes, you messed the date up. Oh, okay, yeah, let me do it. And then it's just like, and every single one of them are money.
Hell yeah.
Every single one of them outside of a date being fucked up could still be used. But anyway, you send me that first promo that just when you think you're out, they pull me back in. And you were wearing like the Scarface get up. Yeah. You had the fucking white fedora, the white vest, and I thought it was fucking money. And then you're like, I can do better. And then I go, and then you somehow did. Like how you somehow topped it. But the point of this is we talk about it's all the character. Like I said, you flip that switch. Wes is gone. Shank is there. Let's talk about the origins of like that Shank Barzini character. Like where's the inspiration? Where's the name? Where's the style? Where's any, because it's so great. It's just so great.
Shoot. Where do you want to start with the name, or do you want to start with like, where it comes from?
I mean, I know Shank. Obviously, you get shanked in prison. I mean,
no, actually, to be honest, I was like, whenever I came up with that, whenever I first started, I was 16. Right,
I did know that you started really young too. Yeah, you being Dalton.
So whenever 16, you're dumb. You say like kind of stupid things, and so instead of saying thank you to people, I'd say shank you. You know what I mean?
Oh.
So
that's an exclusive. Have you ever said that? Like where the shank comes from?
Like I've told people like whenever they ask, known that. But like I've never like really said it over anything. But yeah, that's really where it comes from is shank you. And then I was like, oh, that's a pretty cool name. Like I mean, it could come from anywhere. Sharp, overlooked, easily hidden. Yeah. So yeah, that was kind of like the thought process behind the name. Barzini comes from the Godfather.
Yeah.
I mean, and I'm a real big Godfather mark. That's the reason why, like, whenever I wore like the whole white,
the white
it was way too much on the nose. I was just like, no, this isn't crazy Shank. This is like a weird thing,
like a weird hybrid of Shank.
Yeah,
I still have that promo. We might post that on Patreon. Like, there's literally no difference. Like, you changed up a couple of phrases, I think, like a couple of phrasings, but just you were just dressed differently. So that's just me thinking out loud here. I may post that on the Patreon. I'll have to dig through our messages because I think you sent it to me. I still have it somewhere.
Yeah, Shank is part of a weird Shankiverse. So like he has like, you know how Marvel there's like different variants of different people. Yeah, so like that's what I try to do sometimes. Like whenever I go to different places, like I play Shank a lot different. Like a heel Shank is a lot different from face Shank.
Oh,
like
100%.
If you ever see face Shank, he's going to be totally different from heel Shank. And I kind of like play like that. Like, so everywhere you go, you see Shank differently.
It's the multiverse of Shank.
Yeah. And like, it's great because like whenever you have a place that's oversaturated, you know, with wrestling, you know, going to those different places around there, it's easier to get booked around because they don't have the same guy. It's not really the same guy. Like you're a different person going around. So, and it makes sense. Like Shank's crazy. So like he can be like happy at one place and then evil at another because he's manic.
Yeah, like multiple personality almost.
Yeah.
In a way. Because whenever you did the Dickie Wabash Wrestleversary promo, you were like talking to yourself in your head. You're like, okay, come on, one more. And then you look at, and my favorite line is, he kind of looks like Drew Carey. Or no, who did you say I kind of looked like?
A skinny Drew Carey.
A skinny Drew Carey, yeah, because everyone says I look like... Dude, when I was a kid, my brother, he would walk in, he would go, Cleveland rocks. Cleveland rocks. I'm like, fuck you, dude. But yeah,
I'm a huge whose line is it anyways guy.
Oh, dude.
I love that. I feel like wrestling is a weird improv anyways.
Yes.
So just like in wrestling and comedy is like really close anyways. So like that show was awesome.
And a lot of it, like, I can see how you would incorporate, even with the heel Shank, I can see how you can incorporate a little bit of comedy into it too, because you're fucking crazy. So you can kind of go out there and do like whatever. Like, you know, we're the timeline is going to be all over the place, by the way. That's just, I mean, you've heard the podcast. Like, you know.
I have ADD. Sorry, guys. Like, we are not.
I'm hosting a podcast with ADD, brother. Like, because I know you had to do that American Idol challenge with Jason V. And it's like you had to kind of show your chops there, but it's like you made it work in such a way where
there were no chops. I can't sing worth a lick.
But that's what I'm saying is that when I say you had to show your chops, like you had to make it work and you didn't sacrifice the core of what the Shank Barzini character is. And I think that that's something that a lot of these guys nowadays don't really do a lot, is that they will, what's the word I'm looking for here? They will almost sacrifice their character for the sake of what's going on in the moment. That's why, like, I look at this, like, older, like, our generation, even though you started before me, it was the more of the commitment to the bit. And, like, you look at, like, I always use him as the example of the modern day. Clayton's commitment to what he does is like second to none. And the way that he can take the Shotgun City Sheriff, that Clydesdale, and he can put it in any situation and it still makes sense. That's what you're saying that you do with the Shank character, is that you can just a quick little modify. Now we got babyface Shank. Now we have heel Shank. Now we have manic Shank, psycho Shank, fucking, you know, coming out chugging syrup Shank, and, you know, doing, you know, coming out saying, I'm Shank Barzini and I'm going to kill this kid. And I believe it, that you're going to actually do it. Like, you don't see, we talk about it on here all the time, just the character of it. Just no character at all. And I think that's what makes you shine bright, is because you commit to it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got to have, I mean, commitment's everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, if you're going to jump off something, if you're going to do something, you know what I mean? You got to commit to it, because if you don't, that's when you mess up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's like gymnastics. They'll tell you that, you know what I mean? Like, if you use too much mind, you think about it too much, you're just going to mess it all up. So just like full commitment. And then like, it's kind of easy because like we're always taught, like, if you're going to base a character, or if you're going to have a character, like, pick something about your personality and turn it up 100%. You know what I mean? So that, I mean, that's all I feel like I'm doing, is just grabbing a part of myself and literally turning it all the way up. And then,
yeah. And that was my next question, is how much of your real life personality goes into it?
I mean, like, babyface Shank is just a lot of like trying to crack jokes and like little lines from movies that are funny. I'll try to throw. I try to be Deadpool, if that makes sense.
Shank Barzini is the Deadpool of wrestling. I've always felt that way. Yeah.
So that's babyface Shank. Like heel Shank, like it's just growing up dead broke and always wanting, you know, I mean, just always feeling like you wanted to do something, but always feel like being held back and stuff like that.
Chip
like,
on your shoulder.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I guess. Just like, I mean, I'm from Memphis, so just like growing up in like some rough neighborhoods, you know, I moved probably like, I think the last time me and my sister counted, we moved like 23 times by the time we were 18. So it's just like, and like some of those were like in motel rooms, you know, eating nothing but bologna, you know, and stuff like that. So just like going through stuff like that, you kind of, I don't know. It's just like this inner rage that I kind of feel inside sometimes, and I can just like turn it all the way up. And that's like Shank Barzini, you know what I mean? Trying to get my revenge on the whole world.
That makes sense. Yeah, that absolutely makes sense. So you said that which I knew this, but I'd forgot about it, and you just reminded me that you started at 16. What was that like being a 6? Because I always make the joke. That these kids these days turn 18 and they've already in the business and they've already got 25 years of experience in wrestling because kids just start so young. Like, was that tough starting that young? I get it, this can kind of go for you too if you want to jump in because you started around the same age too. Like, what's it? Because you're still in fucking high school and you're fucking starting wrestling. I mean, look at Cutler. I mean, Cutler is our champion and he's 17. So it's just getting started that young is just baffling to me.
I mean, the way I did it was, like I said, jumping on opportunity. The opportunity arose, and I jumped on it. I went to school with, have you heard of Johnny Watts?
Yep.
I went to high school with Johnny Watts, and my sophomore year of high school, he was like, hey, I found this article in the newspaper that says, like, if you want to be a professional wrestler, show up to this place. And when we showed up to this house, we went into the backyard and there was a wrestling ring. And that's where I met Jesse Meredith or Drake Graven. And he was back there showing people how to bump and roll and stuff like that. And we just got in there and learned how to do it and everything. No one really asked my age until like the third or fourth time that I actually came. And they were like, how old are you? Because I was doing backflips off the top rope.
Yeah.
And I was a fat kid. Like I was a 200, like
Same.
up there
Same.
doing backflips. And they're like, how old are you? I'm like, I'm 16. They're like, we need you to sign something and your parents.
Yeah. Take this to mom and dad, have them sign it.
So we did that. The first time that my mom ever came to like see me do anything, I got not pile drive. I got power bombed off the middle rope through a table.
Oh, that'll do it.
Yeah, and she was like, she never went back. She was like, you can do it, whatever you want to, just don't tell me about it.
Yeah.
So, and then whenever I was Cutler's age at 17, like I was going to high school. Me and JP were going to Nashville on a Tuesday, coming back, staying at his house, which is in Evansville. I was staying in Vincennes, and then we'd drive to Vincennes in the morning, go to school, drive back to his house and do CCW in Evansville. And then after that, stay at his house, drive back to Vincennes, go to high school.
Oh my God. And you're doing this for probably $20
weekly
a pop.
Yeah, probably. Yeah.
Probably not even that.
Most of it like went to gas, like I mean, and you know, food. You know what I mean? Like I mean, but it was just like the experience and opportunity.
That's running the roads, brother.
Yeah. I mean, it was for NWA main event. You know what I mean? Down there in Nashville was at the old TNA place.
Yep.
Where they ran, what was the TNA Asylum or whatever?
Yeah,
down there in Nashville Fairgrounds.
The Asylum was the one in Orlando. What did they call the one that was the fairgrounds? No. Sorry, the Impact Zone was the one that was in Orlando. Yeah, the Asylum was the fairgrounds. Yeah.
I mean, that was the first place that like their locker rooms were separated, so you didn't see your opponent until like you really kind of came out.
Yeah,
and stuff like that. So I learned how to work like that off the fly and stuff like that. Which was really cool. Meeting some people down there was really cool. And then, like I said, just being on the road. I have car narcolepsy. I fall asleep.
Narcolepsy.
Narcolepsy. Yeah. I'm dumb. Oliver will tell you that. Like anytime that I'm in a car for more than 30 minutes, it's surprising I made it here.
We recently went on our road trip to Ohio. All the MadBash boys loaded up in the car, and Oliver's like, "Dude, Shank will be the first one to fall asleep. Guarantee it." You stayed awake the whole time.
I had to make a point. No,
you had to make a point.
I'm a big boy now.
This is weird, dude, because that was just a fun car ride. Like that's what I have missed. Like, and as much as I still get it every so often, that brother car trip, that road trip, love it. Love it. Like we had Dalton and I at the time of this recording, we had it last night with Aaron Atlas Austin Ryan. We went to Cole Radrick's Smitty tournament, and just being in the car with those guys. And like the car is where the true brothering happens.
Oh yeah, it's like a
Kayfabe
sacred
car,
place.
brother.
Yeah. It's a sacred place.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so you learn a lot. That's how you learn most of your stuff. You don't really learn in the ring. You learn most of it just on the road.
Well, it was like Harker said on his podcast that back in his day when he was starting, it was the locker room, and then now it's moved into the car. And kayfabe car, like you can say whatever you want in that car about whoever you want, and you know you're with people that you can trust. And if you got heat with someone that you don't really want to bring to the surface, let's get that venting out in the car, and you can know that brother's not going to run and stooge on you. It's just that's the last bastion right there. Is that people need to understand the importance of the wrestling carload.
Yeah, that's the reason why whenever we were like, yeah, we'll do a podcast on the road, and we were just like, nah.
Yeah, we
probably shouldn't do that.
We almost did, but
you don't just learn about wrestling. Like you learn life lessons and stuff like that. Like it's almost therapeutic, you know, sometimes. Like you get stuff out, you share music.
It's like a therapy session for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, it'd be like I said, it's very what would I say?
Cathartic, kind of.
Yeah.
Cathartic is a good word for it.
Tell you what else is very therapeutic: leaving a venue in Ohio to walk 5 blocks to a Kroger's to get liquor and then walk back. That was pretty fun.
Well, we're just scratching the surface on
that.
We're just scratching the surface on stuff like that.
That was therapeutic.
I'm trying to throw to ads. I say we hear more about stuff like that after we hear a word from our sponsors. This episode is brought to you by Elite Pro Wrestling. We all love live entertainment, right? We all love live wrestling, right? Well, what if I told you that there is a place that combines the entertainment and the wrestling live that we all love? Look no further than Elite Pro Wrestling. Whether it's in person in Odin, Indiana, or Washington, Indiana, or if you check them out on YouTube, Elite Pro Wrestling guarantees a quality show that allows them to live up to the name Elite. If you're feeling generous, go ahead and check them out on Patreon as well. If you back them, you're going to get early access to all of their shows before they hit YouTube. Again, check out EliteProfessionalWrestling.com. This episode is brought to you by Venom Energy. Hey, we've all been there, and there's nothing wrong with admitting to it. Well, what I mean is that we've all hit that midday slump, and we all need a little push to get us through the rest of the day. Well, what better option to give you a pick-me-up than one of the wonderful flavors of Venom Energy? Venom is what gets MadBash through those long show days, and we know that it can do the same for you. I'm going to sweeten the pot a little bit for you, too. Yeah, come to our merch table when you see us at a show, and with the purchase of a MadBash Wrestling sticker or magnet, you get a Venom Energy drink on us. While supplies last, of course, so you better act quick. We'd like to thank Venom again for sponsoring this episode. Please consume responsibly. Not recommended for children under 18, pregnant or nursing women, or people sensitive to caffeine. I think, so we're back now. I think you talking about what you would do when you were starting out, about how you would go here, come back here, go here, come back here, go here, come back here. That had to just be mentally taxing. Or did you were you able to fortify your mind of like, I'm solid?
Also at the time I had a live-in girlfriend. Like I had a girlfriend that lived with me.
So you were bouncing a lot.
Yeah. I mean, to be honest, I've always been balancing a lot. Like I said, like we moved so many times. Like it felt like we were like my dad was stationed in the army. That's how many times. But no, we were just so broke we couldn't afford rent, so we had to move before
before you got
and
getting chased by debt collectors. Nope.
Yeah. So I mean, whenever you're worried about where your next meal comes from or where you're going to stay next, compared to like I have a live-in girlfriend and now I get to travel. I mean, it's easy.
Yeah. At that point.
Yeah.
At that point. And, you know, you say, but it's just like, it's such the, like, a lot of people probably look at it and be like, why didn't you just sleep in your car, like outside of the building or something? That's a long drive. Because brother had fucking high school.
Yeah.
Like, you had to get back. Like,
not only that, it was just like, I mean, I didn't do great in high school. I can tell you that. Like, I didn't really graduate. Like, I had to get my GED because, like, I slept most of the time.
Well, because you were exhausted from driving back from fucking Memphis the night before.
But yeah, that took a toll. But like, to be honest, like everything else, I was just trying to soak in as much as I could. You know what I mean? Like, every Wednesday, I got to see Tracy Smothers. You know what I mean?
I say it all the time. That's my one. I don't have any Tracy stories.
Oh, dude, I just got to sit under the Tracy tree almost every Wednesday, and it was great. It was great hearing a Tracy rant. Oh, it's the magical thing in the world.
Tracy rant.
Oh, it's great.
Tracy
I can't. If I would, I would like explain it, but it's just magical. It's something to experience, really. It was
especially when he'd get like really heated and he'd start like slamming that big stick that he had down. Like, that's how you knew he'd get like really passionate when he'd like, yeah. I love a good Tracy rant, dude. That's some good shit.
Fuck, man.
Oh, and then I got to meet. Have you ever met Gypsy Joe?
No, I've not met Gypsy Joe.
Oh, dude, Gypsy Joe is like, to be honest, like, I've shook the man's hand, which is just like shaking that wall right there. Like, it's just stone. And I think he's the oldest living like wrestler that wrestles.
He's still alive?
I'm not sure if Gypsy's still alive or not.
I've been like around him. I've never actually like.
So, Tracy used to travel around with Gypsy all the time, and one time Tracy comes in because they were both booked, and Tracy comes in before Gypsy Joe. He goes, I love Gypsy. I love him to death. You know what I mean? Great guy. He goes, but he don't like ice cream. What kind of motherfucker don't like ice cream?
That's such a weird thing to get so heated over. What kind of motherfucker doesn't like
if you
ice
think
cream?
about it, it's pretty valid.
Yeah.
Yeah, who do you do? I wouldn't trust a man that doesn't like ice cream. Like,
Now that you bring it up, I'm on the same fucking wavelength with you there, Shank. I'm on the same fucking wavelength. Yeah. We were talking about this too before we recorded. The first time I met you was in West Terre Haute at the West Vigo Community Center in 2012. And you look at me and you're just like, how the fuck do you remember that? But like, you also got to think about it too. Like, that was I was in my rookie year still. In 2012, you were nearing probably 6, 7, 8 years in the business at that point, probably. I would, if I'm doing my math correctly.
yeah, probably.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately.
Look, whenever I think about like how long I've been doing this, and just like I've got to do a lot. Like, I'm not like mad about anything.
Yeah.
It's just like, I really wish I've done more though.
That's fair.
What is something that you wish you had done?
I made money.
Oh, okay. That's probably.
That's fair. Yeah.
That's my new favorite moment that's ever been recorded on this fucking podcast. Oh shit!
Hell yeah.
Like, we don't really like that. I'm not even going to continue going down that road because I thought we were going to get into this philosophical thing of like, I wish that I wish I hadn't agreed to do this certain War Games match or something like that. But he just goes, made money.
Hey, when he's right, he's right.
I don't even know how to go from that one. That one just caught me so off guard. But sadly, there was a match that was recently scheduled. It was going to be you versus Clayton Clark, and you were running down your accolades in that promo because you talk about the whole gatekeeper thing. It's like, I need to be the gatekeeper or whatever. Now, I'm going to probably need the number right on this one because my memory is very bad as well. In the promo, you said that at 19, you were the World X champion.
No, the X division, the Midwest X division.
The Midwest X. So this is before it was a world title. Because
was it a world title?
Yeah, because Gresham took it to Japan and made it a world title.
It was before.
Okay, yeah, but either way, Oliver talked about the lineage of that belt when he was on.
I think I was 19. I'm not really sure whenever I held it. I might have lied about the
You just
age.
might have inflated numbers.
Yeah.
But anyway.
I got it, though. Like,
He won that shit.
it's been in my bag before, all right?
Let's just say for the sake of this that it was 19. That's 3 years in for you. And like I said, the prestige of that belt should not be overlooked. Like, even before it was a world title, like, it's a very important belt. So to hold something that special at that young, at 19.
I was probably 21.
Probably 21?
Yeah, probably 21, 22.
That's still early in your career,
let me redo. Yeah, probably 21 or 22.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But, I mean, so yeah, that had to be a cool feeling, right? To be, like, to know that you were trusted. What are you laughing
It's
at?
a wrestling
It's
promo.
just-
I get to lie about
it's-
things.
It's just funny to me because like you were like 21, 22, and Shank's like, yeah. And you're like, so you're still pretty young in your career, and I'm sitting over here. I'm like, well, fuck, there's more.
There's a little bit more, yeah.
Fuck.
Just derailed my entire next line of
Sorry,
question.
dude.
How the point of all of this was going to be you're getting all these accolades very young, and how do you not let that go to your head? Like, what are you? I'm sure Oliver Kane was a huge fucking part of that because I know you credit him for a lot.
Oh, yeah. I owe Oliver my life, to be honest with you. Like, every accolade that I've ever kind of accomplished came because of two people, and that's Walter Barron. I don't know if y'all have ever met Walter
I
Barron.
love Walt.
Yeah,
love
Walt. And Oliver Kane. Those two people, like, I owe everything to. Anything that I've ever accomplished or anything, it's because of them.
Yeah, I was going to ask. I was going to bring up Walt because I know how important he is to you.
He was the one that was taking me and JP down to Nashville.
Oh, okay.
On a weekly basis. Yeah.
Okay.
Like, he was the
so
guy.
you've had plenty of car rides.
He was the babysitter with me and JP, unfortunately. Yeah.
Yeah, because I had not seen him in years. And then when you had your ladder match against Kindle Fire at EPW in March of 24 this year, it was the first time I'd seen him in years. And he was like, I've been following what you're doing. He said, I'm going to see you Tuesday because that's when we did Ascend the Throne. Okay. And he was speaking very highly of what we were doing. And I know he's been around the block 27,000 times. Mm-hmm. So to get the little rub from him was pretty fucking cool. And like, I know how important like what he means to your career because like I've just, not that I've seen it personally, but you always hear the stories of like, man, Shank worships essentially the fucking ground that Walt walks on.
Oh yeah.
Like,
yeah. I mean, my son, his middle name is Walter.
And
after him.
That's
so
a fucking nod right there. That's a pretty fucking nod.
I'm sorry, Oliver, but Courtney said we couldn't call him that.
Don't blame her.
Oliver Walter.
Well, you know, I mean, it's
like a good name. And JP named his son's middle name is Wesley. So like Jackson Walter Pinkley, there's a JP right there. So like,
hell yeah,
I got JP back.
Hell yeah. I don't know. I love all you guys. You guys are all some of my best friends in this business. I don't know if I love any of you enough to want to name one of my future children after you guys. I mean, maybe I would go like Dalton. But
I'm telling you right now,
Dalton
I would
Clayton Thomas.
I would never name any of my kids Dickie.
I was trying
I'll tell you right now, hey, I promise you.
My buddy, I'm not going to respect their privacy. He's not in the business, but they just had their child. And I was politicking hard to get them to name their son Richard. I was going to be like Richard because of Dickie.
Dude,
and
you are a terrible friend.
I'm a terrible friend. And then I had this other name, and now tell me this is not a sick name. I was like, name your son Radley Kickflip.
Oh, that is pretty gnarly.
Thank you. I knew Shank would love it.
That's like a Skate 3 name.
Radley Kickflip. Radley Kickflip, brother. But yeah, I mean, to kind of bring it back to what we were talking about at the beginning, it's like some of the things that you have done, like, you know, you said before we even started, like, you have a terrible memory because when we were on this now infamous Ohio road trip, he's like, someone in this car has been on a match had a match with a WrestleMania main eventer. And we're like, who? And he goes, Shank. And then you go, who the fuck did I work? And he was like, Steen, which Oliver has had a match with a WrestleMania main eventer too with Generico. Yeah. So but that's just Oliver being Oliver. Like, he will put over people before he puts himself over.
Yeah.
And I've always liked that about him. But yeah, like, that's what's crazy is that you've had such a career that you've done so much that it's just like a regular fucking booking for you.
It's probably more concussions.
Fair. Fair. Do you remember your first concussion, brother?
Oh, no.
No, because I had a fucking concussion. When did you make the decision of, I'm going to kind of start throwing some caution to the wind here? Because, like, you've kind of been known to, do some things that, like you said, taking pile drivers off of second ropes to, I mean, you're no Jimmy Carrot in terms of hating your spine, but, I mean, you've been known to do some stuff. Like, do you have to get in, like, a weird, like, mental mindset before you do it, or?
I think you're kind of born with the mindset.
You have to be.
I think, like you just got to, it's like a daredevil mentality.
Yeah.
Like, you got to, there's adrenaline that you gotta, there's like a certain peak, and if you don't hit that adrenaline peak, then it's not worth it. So you got to make sure that adrenaline gets the peak. Whenever I was like, I have a scar on my forehead from whenever I was a kid, maybe like 3 or 4, and I jumped off the top bunk, and the bottom bunk was shaped like an L instead of like under it, and I busted my fucking forehead off of the bed frame, off the footboard of the bed frame of the top bunk, split my wig right open.
Dude. Hard way.
And I've been jumping off and doing dumb shit ever since.
It's crazy to hear like some of your stories, because I shit you not, I have a similar story, and I have the scar to prove it. I'll have to show you after the podcast, but I have a scar on my knee, and we had a bunk bed. I had a bunk bed. Why I had a bunk bed, I have no clue, because I was an only child, but I always beat the shit out of the stuffed animal dog that I had, because I had no friends. I was a loser, dude. Yeah, fuck that dog. But I remember I thought it was going to be cool, so I sat my dog down by the footboard, and I was on the top bunk, and I tried to do the coast to coast, and I split my kneecap, dude, and I thought I was so badass because I glued it back myself. Oh, yeah, it was terrible, dude. I probably just got the excess glue off like a week ago. It was, yeah.
I bet Shank has glued a gig mark closed before. A time or two.
Yes, only once. Only once.
Only once.
Only once.
Let's hear about it.
No, it wasn't even for wrestling. It was something
It's never wrestling.
It's never wrestling. I had something hanging above my bed, and I was sleeping, and I guess in the middle of the night it fell off, and it fucking busted me wide open, and I woke up stuck to the pillow.
Look at you, just hard weighing, even outside of wrestling. That's a worker.
You got shot on by your own house.
Yeah. That is a fucking shot on by his own house. So one of the things that...
But like the first time I gigged, I was like 16, 17. It was whenever I was still wearing the tattoo sleeves. I know that for sure. It was down in CCW Evansville, and it was with a guy named Joey Grunge.
I know Joey Grunge.
You know Joey Grunge? So we were it was a Freak on a Leash match. It was a dog collar match.
Hell yeah.
And then also...
Please tell me there was a highlight video of the match set to Corn Freak on a Leash.
Oh, I wish.
You get me footage, I'll make it.
But there was 2 poles on each side, and on one pole there was a bat wrapped around the barbed wire, and on the other side was a chair wrapped around the barbed wire. And I had a mohawk at the time that I put up with fucking Elmer's glue. That's how I put it up. And anyways, during the match we had this spot where we set the chair up wedged in between the top and middle buckle, and I take it and go. So, and that's where I get the gig. Well, my fucking hair and the glue got wrapped around that fucking barbed wire, bro.
Oh.
I mean, it made the perfect place to gig under, you know what I mean? Because it hid my face, but actually trying to get it off, just ripping hair out. Oh, that sucks so bad.
And this is indie wrestling where we're not going to take precautions. We're going to use some just shoot barbed wire. Yeah. We're going to fucking wrap it around a chair. Let's fucking go.
We we fixed it a little bit to where, like, I mean, one side it felt like barbed wire, the other side, you know, we kind of worked
Cut the tips.
Yeah.
Did you ever have the itch to do any death matches at all?
Fuck no.
I was going to be, I figured as much. Because you have, like, it seems like with all the crazy shit that you've done, like, I could see you working a death match, but, like, then knowing you personally, it's like, Wes would never do that.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if you ever just had, like, that one thought of, like, I could do a death match.
No, like, I'm a thrill seeker for sure. I just don't have a death wish.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, yeah. Yeah.
So you'd say a barbed wire chair is probably the farthest.
Farthest.
Yeah.
I'll go. Shit.
Yeah, farthest you go. Shank's knocking shit
I'm
over.
causing havoc.
Yeah, that's
wherever
what
I
he
go.
does. That's what he does. But, yeah, well, we're getting kind of near the back half of this, or the back like few minutes of this podcast. I feel like this is going to be a fun paid show because
This went by real fast.
yeah, they usually do. Whenever we have guests on, it always kind of starts slow. And I'm looking at it, I'm like, we're only fucking 5 minutes in, Jesus Christ! But now we're flying by with it, man.
I feel like we didn't even talk about very much either.
That's why we got paid show. Pick some fucking topics. I think that, like I said, it's been talked to death. So the one topic that everyone is probably expecting to get brought up on this paid show probably won't even get brought up. Who knows? But the wild.
I guess you're gonna have to pay and find
You're gonna
out.
have to pay to find out if we talk about pay to see if we will reveal what we're talking about.
Spoiler alert.
Yeah.
If you guys think we're going to talk about KBW's superstar Bama Kid.
Oh, I forgot to put over the Bama Kid.
Talk about that
next
next.
favorite wrestler, or my newest favorite wrestler, Bama
Yeah.
Kid. If you're out there, we want you to be part of MadBash.
Yes,
Me and
we
Dalton
do.
already put your name out there.
Yeah.
Now I'm kind of putting Dickie on the spot.
Yeah.
But
Well,
Alabama
can't-
Kid,
Dude, Dickie can't
book
tell
it.
you no. That's like Vince never told Mark no. You think Dickie's going to tell you no?
Yeah, but Shank is also going to be the guy. I'd be like, Shank, did you bring your gear? I didn't, boss. We get on a plane and go get your gear. Like that's that. Yeah, Shank. It's like I just imagine in a few years, it's just like, Dickie, what does Shank mean to MadBash? And then just me doing the crying and doing the cutthroat. Because under Shanker, brother. But yeah, we were watching some backyard wrestling.
KBW,
before. Yeah,
hold on.
KBW.
It's on YouTube. Everybody look it up. Royal Rumble 2.
It's
okay.
Fuego's company.
Yeah, it is. He's got
it
a lot
might
of
sound like we're shitting on it, but no,
No.
the Alabama Kid shoot for real was pretty dope on that
yeah,
thing. I
he
was thoroughly
He even
impressed.
committed to the bump like off of the trampoline, and
Yeah.
it was like a sick like inside out bump. The
He was like-
Spanish fly that he nailed off the porch was gnarly, and like I promise you, I'm not shitting on it. Like me
on
and
the
Shank Pop.
collarbone kid.
Yeah, on the collarbone kid.
Yeah.
D-Man is what he calls himself, but it's collarbone kid.
We were
He has the steel collarbone.
Yeah, dude. That's why he does a Simone splash so much.
Introducing Shank to like backyard wrestling that like we have seen so many times. That's one of my favorite things to do, is to introduce people to stuff that like I'm obsessed with. And then to see that, get that same reaction and be like, that's my new favorite wrestler. That's my new favorite fucking wrestler. It's just like, that's what I love to hear.
He does all the shit that I wish I could do. You know what I mean? Like, I want to be a flippy kid.
The first the 30 seconds of his entrance is him doing like a double cartwheel back
Spider-Man.
handspring.
He comes out as Spider-Man.
Yeah. With
It's like-
cool kick pads.
It just needs like Nickelback. Just like, a hero to save us.
Oh my god. But yeah, like I feel like we didn't even really scratch the surface, and the problem is like we're kind of pressed for time as well, because we got a booking that we need to get to. Shank has a booking he needs to get to, but we're definitely going to be getting into a lot more on Paid Show. For those of you that aren't on the Patreon and aren't going to get to hear it,
Do it.
Do it. First of all, let me just say this, Shank, this is fucking awesome to be able to finally have you on the podcast. I know you said that you always feel uncomfortable whenever you kind of have to do podcast stuff. So I hope that we,
Yeah, because I hope I'm not boring as shit. Like, I
No,
hope
this
is kind of entertaining.
This has been a lot of fun.
So
It's
then
been a lot of fun.
let's start to wrap up with this, because we got a few minutes here before we're going to start wrapping up. Dalton, of course, you talked about the music hits, you're in the ring,
Mhm.
the hands are going numb, and you look at HBJ and you're like, I am getting ready to wrestle Shank Barzini. Never thought this would happen. Would 8-year-old Dalton even have imagined that you would then be doing a podcast with Shank Barzini and just brothering it up with sharing a carload with him.
It was kind of funny, like when you were sitting here talking, like we were approaching the year mark of the MadBash Wrestling. I was just sitting here thinking, like not only what a crazy way a year can take you, but it's like, yeah, I had a match with Shank a year ago, and now I'm like, have you ever woken up to Shank Barzini making coffee? Put that on your bingo card. Slightly terrifying. I did. 2 cups down the hatch, Shank Barzini, coffee.
He's like, you mind if I get another glass? Just get wired up. And I was like, have as many mugs of coffee as you want.
So like,
you'd have told me wired up.
Yeah. He goes, before we got, he's like, so was there a gas station close? And then I was like, not really within walking distance. And he goes, I was like, I got coffee. He's like, perfect.
Yeah, so that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, like if you'd have told 8-year-old Parker or Dalton, whatever you want to call me, that I would have been wrestling Shank Barzini in general. Like, I'd have always hoped.
With Dickie Wabash on commentary.
Yeah, and it's like, now, like, to be able to actually know Shank and be able to, like, have a good relationship with him to the point where, like, I know if I ever need anything or whatever, like, I can reach out. Same with, like, Oliver, who I grew up watching, too. Like, it's kind of surreal. Jason V, like, these are guys I talked to on the daily, and at one point in time, like, they were guys that I idolized, you know? So,
yeah, well, this is the man that retired Jason V, so.
Good.
I didn't know he was retiring until, like, I went through the curtain. I was like, he's taking a long time kind of out there. And I peeked through, and I saw his boots in the I was like, what the fuck? He came through. I was like, this was your last match? He was like, yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah, I'm done. I'm like, what the?
No,
you could have told me.
I don't say good in a way to shit on Jason V. He just seems a lot happier now.
He does. And I know that we said we were going to wrap up here. And
I miss him.
We are going to.
I love him.
Jason V is the way that you talk about Oliver. That's Jason V to me. And he and I had our differences. We've mended. We're stronger now as friends than we were to begin with. And just to see, like Parker said, how happy he is, like, and he's content. He does not have that itch to get back in there to do another match. He said, Shank gave me a damn near perfect last match. I'm good. I'm content. He said, I am just so much better for it now. So, like, to see him get his happiness and everything, and it means the world to me. Like, as his mentee, you know, as the person that was sat under the learning tree of Jason V for so long. It's really cool. It's really cool.
Really cool.
Really. And then when I found out that, like I said, whenever the match was happening, it was when he and I weren't on speaking terms. I was like, fuck, I would have loved to have been there for that.
I felt like it was a pretty good match.
It's a very good match.
Like, whenever I was going through it, I was like, man, this feels really good. Like, it felt like something, you know?
Yeah.
Dalton, you ever feel like some matches feel more than other matches?
Fine. Yeah, I felt it with us too. Like
magic is being
you just
created.
you know, like it's a lot different.
It's a sixth sense that a lot of people don't have.
And I think in a weird way, it's like the pressure of knowing, like the whole, like, I don't know. You ever walk in somewhere and you're like, somebody's staring at me?
Mm-hmm.
I feel like that's what the magic is in the ring. Like when you know the whole crowd is just locked in, like you feel it. So yeah, I agree with that 110%.
Yeah.
Hey, on Paid Show, we can get into how the song came to be, how I got the song.
Oh, your walkout?
Yeah.
Yeah. Hey, there's a good little teaser for Paid Show.
Yeah.
That's a good little teaser for Paid Show. If that doesn't earn you doesn't earn us your $5, I don't know what does, because I'm telling you, I feel like this is going to be a good one. This is going to be a good one. You never know what we might reveal. Made that joke twice. That good. Shank, again, this is for those that aren't going to be on there. Like, thank you so much. Like, obviously we're getting ready to do Paid Show with you. But you're going to be back on this podcast. I have no doubt. Like, we'll have to link up again and just do another brothering session. You know what I mean?
Sure, yeah.
And then Dalton, thanks for filling in for Madrox.
Hey, no
I know
problem.
scheduling, we couldn't have Madrox here. Literally going to pick him up here in about an hour to go to our booking. Dude, we're running so behind. Like, I still got to shower. I got to clean my car out. It doesn't matter. I mean, what is it you always say? What is it you always say?
Hey, shows don't work unless you do.
Shows don't work unless you do, brother.
Thank you for having me. Thank you for letting me, everything. Thank you so much.
We're family here. Mad Bash is more than a clique. We're fucking family. Mi casa, su casa. You know, like you sent out a message. You were like, "Has anyone got a couch I can crash on?" And Dalton was,
or just a driveway where I can park my Jeep. I'm not picky at all.
Yeah, and
I just don't want to stay at a truck stop. You know what I mean?
Hey, that's fair.
Yeah, no, always. You always got a place here at my house. I know Dalton, you got a place at his house. You hung out with Madrox would tell you the same thing, his place, you know, but that's what we do. We all fucking stick together here, man. And like, thank you for being on board with what we're doing. You're an invaluable asset to what MadBash really is. That goes for you too. Everyone that we surround ourselves with, like someone shared, we made that highlight video about MadBash Wrestling on Facebook, and someone shared it and talked about how great Dickie and Madrox are doing. And I'm like, we couldn't do it if it wasn't for our brothers. We couldn't do it if it wasn't for guys like you. So I'm eternally grateful for what you guys have brought to the brand and how we've really grown something from nothing. But
speaking of bringing to the brand, Bama Kid.
All right, on that note,
Walk me through it.
Goddamn kid. But I still haven't posted that footage either. I need to on Patreon. But all right, we're going to go ahead and get off here. For those of you that are on Patreon, we'll see you on Paid Show. Everyone else, we'll see you down the road on some form of content.